Hey, what's going on? Ryan Kohler here from Talent Alchemy and GPT for Work. And this video, we're going to unpack how to go about doing a pilot project with ChatGPT, whether this is a pilot for your own professional work, whether it's a pilot in your own area, like in your HR department or your marketing department, or as a company as a whole, the same process you follow over and over and over again as you use kind of an agile approach to implementing and integrating ChatGPT throughout your entire organization. Look, this isn't just a ChatGPT thing. If you are trying to grow as I did over the last 20 years growing my company Applicant Pro, it is a constant evolution. It is a constant cycle of finding new things to improve on, improving them, learning from it, growing, etc. as you go. And ChatGPT is no different. It's just that the cycle time is moving much faster. Now, whether this is overall in the news you hear all over the place, or even within your own company, your own organization, in the industry at SHRM, in your professional organizations or industry organizations, you're going to hear a lot of hype and hate. And so the simple fact of the matter is you need to understand why the hype and hate is there, where their context or where they're coming from, but most importantly, to be able to see through it. Because at the end of the day, your goal is to progress and figure out the best low risk, high reward potential opportunities to use ChatGPT, whether it's in your personal life, your professional life, whether it's at work or with your team or etc. And so just keep that in mind that you're going to hear a lot on both sides. Your goal is to pragmatically see through that, to identify exactly where, how this is going to impact your business, your profession, your market share, how you compare against your competitors, your industry, and especially your job, so that you can see around the corner, not all the way to the end, but at least what's coming next, and to progress along the way as all the hype and all the hate is kind of validated and figured out. But first off, let's figure out, how can we use this? How can it help me? Whether this is a professional use you're going to use, a personal use at work, in HR, in your talent engine, recruiting, marketing, sales, you name it. Usually I focus on these four main things, and you'll see here research and asking questions and legal advice are not included here. And that's because those are areas that are more risky. We're starting with the easy stuff, brainstorming a project we're working on, outlining that project, writing content or responding to emails and that type of stuff. That is where ChatGPT is really, really powerful, where it's low-hanging fruit. You can make progress, free yourself up from some time, become more efficient, more effective, all without worrying about the hype and the height of what is going on. So we're going to talk about this, and the idea here being we want to figure out a way to start using ChatGPT in a low risk, high reward way. And the answer is not to try to change everything all at once, not to create a massive project or initiative out of it. Instead, you start by prioritizing all the opportunities you have. And we're prioritizing them in two different ways. Number one is risk versus reward. How big of a risk is this? Which has to do with the type of information that we're putting in there, how secret, how private, how proprietary is it, and the information coming out, how important is accuracy, how big is the distribution of it. We're looking for the projects that have a high reward, low risk. We're staying away from the projects with low risk or high risk, low reward. And the ones in the yellow and light green, we're going to figure out how to change the project to get it into green. Now, on the flip side, we're looking at how easy would it be to figure it out and how big of an impact it's going to have. Once again, do we know that it will work, and it will be easy to get to proof of concept? Will it be easy to get to results? Will it be easy to get to a return on investment? Once again, our goal here is to look at this, say, we want to focus on green stuff to pick something to pilot. Another way to look at this when we're thinking about from a security and an accuracy thing, because those are usually the two big concerns that people have with ChatGPT usage. On the left side, we say how private or secret or proprietary is the information that we're going to feed into ChatGPT. And this goes for any generative AI model, anything like that. Just like it would go for a brand new employee that you bring on, or a consultant that you hire, or somebody outside your company. You would say, how private, secret, proprietary is the information we're bringing in. Look for it to be low. That's the low-hanging fruit. And on the backside, how important is the accuracy and how wide will this information be distributed? Once again, we're looking for low. We're looking for green. Now, if you look at the accuracy and say, well, accuracy is always important. Accuracy is a little bit different, because the need for accuracy and has to do with how much effort you'll put into reading and proofing and editing the content coming out. There's an easy fix for information coming out of ChatGPT to use in our process, and that is the wider the distribution, the more public the distribution, just like with a brand new employee helping us with something, the more we need to proofread it, double check it before we full send it. And so that is actually easier than the front side of protecting the privacy, security, proprietary information, that type of stuff. But again, once again, the goal here is to run a pilot, to choose the right pilot within our company, within our department, within our process that we're working. And the easiest thing to do is pick the green stuff, low risk, low need for accuracy, or easy to be able to edit and verify. So let me give you a good example of this, as a great example of how I wouldn't start with ChatGPT. On the left, we have, we're trying to figure out some proprietary contract or information about something going on with one of our employees, and we want to upload that whole experience and information into ChatGPT. And then we're wanting to use a prompt to get ChatGPT to tell us what to do. That information is coming out, and perhaps that what to do is, write up a new agreement. Now, here's the problems with both of those. Number one, you're needing to feed specific information that may be private, it may be proprietary, whatever, into it. Sounds like stuff you'd give to a lawyer. And when you're giving it to a lawyer, it's protected by attorney-client privilege. Well, that should be a huge red flag right off the bat. Now, on the backside, the information coming out of it of writing a legal agreement or writing something like that, or making a legal decision or giving you legal advice, well, once again, I don't have personally the ability to validate the accuracy of the stuff coming out, even if I read through it. Once again, 2 red flags, and it should show you that that example isn't low-hanging fruit. That example is something that you should do what you do right now. Go to a lawyer where you have confidentiality, attorney-client privilege, and where you have somebody who's proofing it that understands the law. Now, on the flip side, we look at something that's green, and we say, we want help writing a job ad, writing a job description, coming up with creative recruitment marketing content, responses that we send out to job seekers who apply, interview questions we're going to ask, new hire training, information that we want to do to teach our team about our culture and our values and all that kind of stuff. That would be green. The information, it isn't private, it isn't secret. While it might be proprietary, it's something that putting it out there in the world is part of what we do through the recruiting process. So therefore, it's impossible to keep secret. It's not our secret sauce. And if it gets out there, the world's not going to end. So that would be a green thing on all those different options. And on the other side, like, how important is the accuracy? It's not accurate like right or wrong. It's accurate like, is that what we believe or how we approach it internally? Is that our company's goal, mission, approach, whatever? And once again, I would assume that you would be able to read, proof it, and say yes or no through the editing process. And so those parts give you a great area to focus on from a pilot standpoint. So here are the 10 steps. Once I've decided or how we go through, I like to explain this as it's a science fair project. And this is actually what we've done at Applicant Pro forever, for almost a decade. We are constantly looking for, even without AI, without ChatGPT, just in improving and iterating and evolving our processes, our approach, all that kind of stuff, we would follow the same process. We'd go and dig in and find a science project to work on. We'd find those things with high reward, low risk, those things that we could actually felt like it would work, and we knew that it would be easy for us to do, and we'd pick those first to build momentum as we're improving and progressing. And so we start by defining the objective. We pick a part of the company, we pick a process in there, we pick a specific task, we define what is the goal. We pick a task that we believe, hey, I think that we could make improvement here. We look for what kind of input we would need to put in. Maybe that was interviewing our team or gathering up our old job description or whatever the case may be. And then we would train an employee. In this instance, we would feed that into ChatGPT by telling it, here's what I want your help with. Here's the project we're working on. Here's the information we have right now. Here's the stuff that we've collected on it. And at that point, it gives us the ability to test the pilot, to test running prompts against it and pulling that content out, or running prompts and having it help us analyze or understand or summarize or research or brainstorm, whatever the case may be. That kind of top part is running the flow with ChatGPT to get to the point where we now have something coming out of it that we can use. The bottom part is now saying, well, what happens when we plug this in to our current process, to our current approach? Now we're going to take and plug it in and get user feedback. Hey, did you like this job ad better? Did we get better results evaluation? Did we actually get better applicant flow? Did we get better engagement? The next steps being like, all right, well, based off of that, what do we need to change? What should we change? And then actually iterating and adjusting it till we get to the point that we're like, hey, this is an improvement. This is something that we want to replicate and continue, which means we need to either document the process or adjust our documentation on our existing process with our new approach. And then what do? We start over again. These are kind of the 10 steps we go through anytime we're trying to iterate or improve a process. It's just now we're plugging ChatGPT in where we normally might have plugged in a tool, a piece of software, a consultant, a new approach, a new, whatever the case may be. The key here is that we don't want big projects. We want small projects added up over time. If you look at this and say, oh man, we don't want to go that slow, the answer isn't to make the project bigger. The answer is to spin them over more. The reason being aim small, miss small. The more that we can get a project complete to the point where we can evaluate results, where we can get feedback, where we can tweak it or adjust it, the more likely we get to a great outcome with the fewest amount of mistakes, hiccups, hurdles, whatever the case may be. Now, what I do when I'm looking at this from an HR perspective or from a talent perspective is I go look at the areas of my talent engine and I pick an area, whether that's building talent communities, whether it's building a traction engine or recruitment marketing, whether I'm looking for ways to activate new hires, teach them about our culture, our values, our origin story, our industry, whether I'm trying to amplify the team by getting better alignment, or advance the team by building, career paths and career journeys and all that kind of stuff. Or finally, whether I'm trying to maximize or amplify the referrals we get, either referrals for leads or referrals for potential hires. All of those areas have content and brainstorming and outlining and projects that we run, and responses where we might be responding to emails. And so picking one of these areas is really important. Just pick one, pick a project, pick a job. And the key here being, don't just pick the biggest pain. It may be a small pain that happens frequently, but more importantly, just pick something, because most likely you're going to be able to run a pilot like this in less than 2 weeks. You want to do some easy stuff, do some low-hanging fruit, because it's not just that you're going to make an impact that will improve things, but you're also going to learn and grow in your ability to do the project. Give you a good example. If I break this down and say I'm going to focus on recruitment marketing, I'm going to drill down into actually how we attract candidates or how we select candidates. You can see on the right, these are all different types of information that we're going to need to create, which most likely requires brainstorming, requires outlining, requires writing content, or creating responses to things that will happen throughout the process. All those 4 things are something that ChatGPT just does an amazing job at as a tool you use as an extension of yourself, not as something that automatically runs on its own and does it for you, but something that does it with you, that gives you the ability to do it in a fraction of the time. So let's actually talk through an example of this, of how I would walk through the process, right? I would pick a part of the talent engine, or a business focus or a process. So for me, I might say, hey, I've got this job that is our bank teller, and we're struggling to get applicants on it. And we think that applying some recruitment marketing approach to it might help. I've just defined the objective, right? The objective is, can I use recruitment marketing to improve the results we're getting in recruiting bank tellers? Awesome. Task selection. Now I might look at that and say, break this down and say, what are the different parts that drive the outcome? It might be, do we need better personas of who we're targeting? Do we need to understand why somebody would want to come work for us? Or do we need to write better ads that will be more engaging and compelling and make somebody want to make the case for why somebody should want to apply? Or do we need to create better screening questions to help us get through the riffraff and get to the best people faster? Or do we need to create better interview questions or offer letters or email correspondence? Or all of those things are different tasks that we could pick one and say, hey, I believe that this might be something worth improving. It's a great project for us to run. We believe it would be easy. We believe it would be impactful. So let's go ahead and gather what we need. Now, the input collection at that point might be, gather me the job description we're using now. Gather me the job descriptions or ads of some of our competitors. It might be gather the resumes of people that we've hired in the past year that we love, that we would like to clone. All of that would give us information to input. Once again, think about it. All those things are also low on the secret proprietary standpoint, right? All those job ads are live and out there on Indeed in the public. Most likely the resumes of the people who work for you or their LinkedIn profiles are live out there in the public. So there's not a security concern or a privacy concern or anything like that. If there is, remove the contact info of those people from their resumes before you upload it. Remove your pay structure, whatever that you're worried about on your job ads, right? Feed that in and train the model. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm trying to accomplish this. I want you to help me with recruitment marketing. Here is the target job seeker resumes. Here are our current job ad, and here are the ads from some of our competitors. Hey, I want you to help me write some content, right? And then we can run the pilot. The pilot would be we took the content and we plugged it into our current process. Now, that doesn't mean, again, that you have to full send and throw it out on the job boards. As we cycle down into step 6, user feedback is something as simple as showing that to the people you hired recently and saying, do you like this ad better? Does this work better? Showing it to the manager, showing it to job seekers, posting it, getting some applicants for one of your jobs, not all of them. And as applicants coming asking them, hey, what did you think about the job ad? Did you like it? Seeing what kind of responses they give to it. Looking at the results of both quantity and quality of applicants flowing in. And at that point, you'd have the next step of being able to say, hey, I think we should adjust it. I think that we should do another version of it. I think that we should try it on another job in a different job, in a different location, iterate it, and then once again, plug that into our process. At that point, we can now cycle around and say, hey, this works well for writing our job ad. Let's go rewrite our other job ads, or this worked great for this job ad. Let's go back and extend it by coming up screening questions or interview questions or offer letters or correspondence and kind of elongate those two things of saying we're either going to expand the project widthwise by doing it on more jobs, or we're going to expand depthwise by following it through the process all the way from hiring, recruiting, selection to onboarding to alignment to training, whatever the case may be. Really, really simple way to think about it. I actually took and used ChatGPT, and I'm going to jump over and kind of show you how to use ChatGPT to actually perform each of the steps. So I had ChatGPT actually outline the steps. Here's the first one, defining the objective. Here's the actions that we need to take. Here's the questions we should ask. Great hack here. Answer those questions, not by typing it in, but by interviewing yourself, your team, whatever, on Otter and take or on Zoom and take the transcript, paste it back in here and say, I'm ready to do step number 1. Here are the answers to these questions. And then even giving you a prompt that you could run on ChatGPT after giving it the answer to those questions in order to help guide you along. You see here, we're not just using ChatGPT to perform its parts of the project, but we're also using it as kind of a consultant or an assistant to help us do our part. And that really is the concept as you go down through, task selection. Hey, ChatGPT, help me, identify what tasks we could look at. Help me prioritize which one might give us the best input, the best output with the least amount of work. Which one is most likely to work? Give it the inputs, give it, training. And again, even the great thing about something like this is if you wonder, hey, how would I do that? Literally just ask ChatGPT. How could I help train you better to help me with my recruitment marketing content where I'm rewriting a job ad for a bank teller job? And guess what? ChatGPT is going to tell you what you could do to help. It's most likely going to answer that with, do you have information about your culture? Do you have information about your values? Do you have information about why people would want this job? Et cetera, is going to kind of give you that back and forth to help you along the way. And so really quite simple. It shows you how to run that pilot. Now, a lot of people would ask at this point, well, how could we help you out with it? Clearly, this is something that we've done a bunch of times, and we find that there's 3 main things that we help people with, either their own personal and professional adventure, whether that's, help me set this up to apply for a job, to use it in my personal life, to use it with my personal projects or professional projects at work, or help me build a pilot project so I can actually prove that this works in a way that would get outside of me, that I would hand off to my team, that I would hand off to build into a process. And then finally, company policy and plan. Now, these don't always go in this order. We see that people do them in all at one time, one at a time, in groups, whatever the case may be. And it really has to do with how you approach and how your organization approaches new technology. Are you a try it first and ask forgiveness? Or are you a ask for permission before you go forward? kind of gives you the idea of which approach we're going from in order to, I personally suggest, leveling up all three of them at the same time, looking at how we get them to certain areas. It's easier to do a pilot and present a pilot to your team if you at least have a base level understanding of personal use and professional use of ChatGPT with your own information, just so you're comfortable making the pitch. You can create a company policy and a plan, but you're going to need a bunch of expert guidance, which is something we provide if nobody's used it in your organization and you haven't done any pilots. And even building a company policy and a plan and approach most likely ends up with a bunch of small pilot projects in each different department. And so at some point in time, you're going to have to do all three of these. The order is what matters. But more importantly is that we're experts and we're here to help you safely get to the best results, to lower your risk and get to your rewards quickly. You engage us to come along and help you, and we'll kind of guide you there more than just watching a video and figuring it out on your own, to work with you to roadmap it out, to come up with a policy, to identify how to prioritize things, to unpack exact approaches, give you tips and tricks and templates, and help you actually execute it so that you most likely get to the best results in the shortest amount of time possible with the ability to prove exactly how it works. So if you'd like to learn more about how we can help you with a pilot project, how we can help you unpack it and run through it, we're more than happy to. We offer free consultation calls and even free initial pilot mapping. So we can sit down and map out what pilots are available, what it would look like, what projects we suggest, before you even spend any money or engage us at all, just as kind of our way to help you identify exactly what it is you should do and what should come next. And once again, lower the risk while increasing both the potential reward and the speed you get to results. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or reach out to us at any time. Otherwise, we'll talk to you later.